A requirement provided for the Open Public Meeting Law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given. Said notice has been transmitted to the Courier News and the Star Ledger on Tuesday, April 8, 2014, as well as posting on the bulletin board in City Hall. No, okay. This evening, the Plainfield Municipal Council will conduct its budget deliberations on the 2014 calendar year municipal operating budget. This session is scheduled from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. 2 hours inclusive to discuss the following: recreation, administration and finance, information technology and media, health division, and purchasing. So, first, I just wanted everyone from the CDAC to introduce themselves, please. Starting to wherever.
Hello, Richard Stewart, Gresham Road. Richard Stewart, I live on Gresham Road.
Okay.
Joyce Wilkerson, Canyon Avenue.
Jan Massey Evergreen.
Lydia Sumner, East 6th Street.
Michael Horn, 726 Sterling.
Mustafa Muhammad, 919 East Front Street.
Evander Henry, 1449 Village Street.
Thank you. Okay, so you guys.
Good evening, Madam President, Chair, Councilwoman Dare. Tonight, with the consent of the Council President, we have changed so that we have recreation coming before you first.
Right.
We're going to give you an overview of those things taking place in recreation and a quick introduction of the new superintendent of recreation who just joined us recently. Veronica Hill just came to the city on Taylor. Because we're supposed to stay here. Veronica Taylor joined us roughly, 4 days ago?
Yes.
A week ago, and will be serving as the superintendent of recreation. Along with us tonight are the chief financial officer who will be helping us go through the financial part of recreation, and the director of administration and finance, Ron. We already know.
Good start.
So why don't we get started? And
Let me have some what you have.
We'll begin with a statement from the CFO.
Yesterday was my first effective day as Chief Financial Officer of the city. In reviewing the results of operation from last year, you had a very good year as far as the collection of taxes went. Your tax collector did a very good job in getting the collection rate up from prior years, which allows the city an opportunity to make an investment in itself, all right, which I think is the underlying MO of this budget. Of course, the investment, as far as additional investments in personnel, have to come with results. And I think that's the bottom line, is that an investment this year of additional monies in the positions that have been identified by the administration are expected to yield results going forward to allow for stabilization of the budget.
Thank you, Al. At this point, we'll turn it over to Ms. Hill.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. As Mr. Smiley said, I've just arrived here, and so for the last 4 days, I've just begun completing an assessment of the department and our facilities. I've been touring the facilities, making an assessment of staff, and that will be ongoing. So for a person who's been here 4 days, this is the budget we're presenting. So far, I believe what they put in here is that we want to maintain programs. What I'm coming to you with is that I'm looking to expand the scope of programs. We do a really good job of providing programs to school-age children. That means children ages 5 to 17. I'm looking to expand the scope and serve more families in Plainfield. We need pre-K programs, young adult programs, and for people active older adults, we call them seniors. I'm a proponent of going into different facilities, not just providing programs in-house, say as senior citizens, going to all the senior housing facilities and maybe moving our programs there, doing a lot of open space programs, a lot of walking programs. We're looking at Plainfield walking. So while this says they're looking to maintain programs and keep up with our existing programs and maybe automate systems in the future, I'm also looking at ways to begin to capture the data that we've been doing by paper and pencil. So we have the capability here with some systems that we have. I'll be looking to automate them by using industry standards and what other recreation departments use so that people can register online. They don't have to physically come to an office to register. They can register in their pajamas if they want to. Find a way to get feedback that's, from the community about programs that they want and evaluate existing programs. So I'm looking to expand the scope, serve all of Plainfield, the 50,000 people that live here, and just move on from there. But you know, the 4 days I've been here, I've begun an assessment. We'll hear a request later for some few things that we want. We want people, we're just so fortunate here. We have lots of open space. I have a park that's 34 acres, and I need to get people walking in there. I need to make sure that they feel comfortable and safe, and the bathroom's family friendly. I need to do out-of-the-box programs, national night at camping, and have everybody pitch a tent and come to Field and camp. So we're looking at different things, but I have to find a way to interface with the community in a different way. Facebook, Twitter, the language that the youth uses, and make it comfortable for everyone to use. So those kinds of things that you will see from me in the future. And you know, I'm a former swim coach, so you'll see us trying to get people more in the water, providing lessons. If there's a tennis court, I'm going to have an instructor there. If there's a pool, in addition to just having open swim, we're going to have team night and activities, and we're going to give swim lessons. We want everyone around here to learn how to swim in the city of Plainfield. We have 3 outdoor pools, 3 indoor pools, everyone's going to be swimming, and we're going to help them get there. It helps to lead to a safe community. We have to be a healthy community, and that's a national initiative, it's an initiative of the mayor. We have to fight obesity, so I'm going to be Plainfield walking. So you'll see that in here. Great. And I hope I can answer your questions.
So what does that translate to in the way of numbers? 2013, we had fees and grants to the tune of about $175,000 for recreation. When you look at positions, we're talking about 5 full-time positions within the Division of Recreation. You know, because there hasn't been a recreation superintendent and a number of other positions have been opened, you know, you're seeing the salary budget substantially higher than the past year, going to $248,793. You know, versus if you count the acting pay that was spent, about $75,502. You know, in 2013, what we're showing for other expenses for the moment is $102,000, which is down from $105,000. When you look at recreational seasonal, we're talking about, you know, engaging or budgeting for $382,702, which is slightly above the prior year. Summer pool, $84,000, which is the same as the previous year. And other expenses around pools, you know, $95,627. Total budget, $833,620. Before I tell you that I'd like to request an amendment.
Wow.
But it's not a bad thing, so I will pass out what I'm going to request to you. You know, I don't have copies for everybody in the audience, but basically for recreation. You know, many of you may have heard, if not, the 2 little leagues in town have been united. You know, so we've got a need to purchase some additional uniforms for them. We've got some also uniforms to get for the lifeguards and other support staff. We need to put some more money in for park maintenance. And the third category for recreation is playground equipment and repairs of $10,000. You know, so we're asking for an additional $20,000, you know, for recreation. But now I'm offsetting that because also included in the sheet that's being passed out, you know, our 2 primary pensions, PERS and PFERS, you know, have afforded us a reduction in our pension payments for the year, which I'm bringing forward. So we're going to be asking to lower PFERS by $301,270 and PERS by $130,628. Now, I do have two other requests that, I'd like to bring forward at this point in time too, rather than try to mix and match. With regard to engineering, we need an additional $112,000. We've got two sites that have shown some questionable things in the parking lot. The Madison Avenue parking lot and main fire headquarters have had effluents and all coming out that have been questioned by DEP. So we've got to come forward and do a whole bunch of testing to determine whether or not there are issues with regard to those two locations. It's going to cost us $112,000 to do that.
How much are you asking for?
$112,000. And then with regard to municipal court, we are changing our banking relationship and putting in a better way of individuals being able to make payments electronically, but there's a fee for doing that in our banking relationship. So we're asking to make sure that we have an additional $10,000 in other expenses for municipal court for that particular aspect of our relationship.
And what type of equipment are you purchasing for that?
This is more of the banking relationship. The bank is going to, we're going to be doing different credit card, yes, but it's at municipal court. And it's tied to Investors Bank.
Okay.
So this is going to link in with them, and it's going to be tied to our new banking relationship.
That's a fee by the third party, it's not a fee by the bank itself.
But the net is, with even these increases, we're looking to lower the budget by $289,898. I know the next question, so what does that mean to the individual taxpayer? It means that rate of $129.37 that I quoted is the rate we're looking at for the average household. They'll assess at $113,000. Well, that will go down to $101.96. At this point, if there are any questions for recreation, we'll certainly entertain them.
I have a couple questions.
I have a question.
Let me ask a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
The programs, you said you're going to find a way to advertise them better. Yes, we're going to, yes. Wait, let me finish. And then the second one is, I understand we had a golf program last year, and I don't know if it had started yet, but I've had a lot of residents to inquire about it, because I think it only lasts about 6 weeks or so, and we need to find out when does that start. And the third thing is, we didn't have enough lifeguards last year, so we suffered again in Athens. And it was a very hot summer, and we were alternating days that the pools were going to be open, so I'm hoping that we reached out and got enough lifeguards. Well, I'll start with the first one. Even though I've only been here 4 days, I'm a former middle school swim coach at Plainfield High School and also swim instructor. So what we've set up so far is Plainfield High School will be offering their lifeguard training course, which we'll be recruiting for all the time. They start the end of May, they'll be certified in June. I've reached out to previous staff, and they'll be returning. So we should have a set number. They only charge $50 when they take it to Plainfield High School, so it's very affordable. We don't have to worry about holding anybody's card and this and that. So we should have enough guards to open and fully man the pools and include now lessons. So we're looking for WSIs, just not just opening it for open swim, but providing lessons from 10 a.m. to 12. Prior to they open for open swim, we're providing lessons at the pool, which is a change from previous years, as I understand it. Number 2, golf. When I arrived, there was a posting out for golf. Program was to begin this year. I was notified upon my arrival, but we don't have a golf instructor. Yes, previously the gentleman there had a medical issue, so the prior instructor is no longer available. They reached out to his assistant, so we're reaching out now. The backup plan is that if we don't offer here, I'm referring all the parents, of course, that we don't have anyone enrolled in golf. I had them run the record, do we have any paid receivables, none yet. We may refer them to the First Tee program. So which program, I'm sorry? The First Tee program at 9 West, which is an excellent program. They have the facilities there. They provide the equipment for the youth. They have golf instructors there. Free program. It's a full service program that also provides SAT prep. It's just a way. First Tee is a program that encourages minority members to get involved in the sport of golf. They provide it for free at West 9. Except for the youth. What about for me? Adults also. They do have an adult component. They have an adult component. And I'm sorry, your last question, I didn't get a chance to write it down, Council President.
it was golf, it was the lifeguards, and you did answer them all, the programs being advertised.
Yes, no, I didn't get to that one. We were gonna, so what we're looking to do, for my initial assessment, we're looking to go to media sites. I've already reached out to media asking the procedures for how to set up a Facebook page, just announcing, basic announcement. Also in my conversations, I understand that we do have some limited capabilities here to send out text messages and messages concerning practices and changes of dates and locations. So, and also, other sites use a package called Community Pass. So I'll be looking to investigate standard practices, best practices to use and bring into our program so that it's clearly accessible.
That's great, because media has a Facebook page now. I mean, and there's a lot of
I understand.
viewers that view that page, so that way we can get that information out. That would be great.
And also in addition to that, partnership better with the schools. The key is you have to do little tricks. When I recruited for swimming, it was simple as going to the lunchroom at lunchtime, stamping their hand with the dolphin. The pools open up on this date. This is your personal invitation. Bring the lifeguards with us. Hi, I'm going to be your community lifeguard. They're going to remember that Jabril is at this lifeguard. Mommy, he's waiting for me. You have to take me swimming. So we're going to interface a lot more face-to-face to develop the relationship with the community. So they have that personal connection so that they'll want to come.
Great, great.
No, along with that, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Along with that, could we have some flyers or something? Because there's not everybody who goes on the computer. I know that there's a lot of people who miss everything because they don't go.
I'm governed by the matter of 7 times, 7 ways. We will do whatever it takes, 7 times, 7 ways to reach out, knocking on doors. You know, I have a wonderful opportunity this year to hire and engage a lot of youth within my budget. And if it's a lit drop, if it's knocking on doors, hi, you know, we're taking a survey about the local pools. Do you use pools? Why or why not? What would it take for you to come out? What kind of program would you want to see? So, you know, doing some Saturday morning knocking on doors, hi, how are you? It's the local recreation department. How can I serve you better? You know, I'm looking to diversify the group of the community that use our programs. We want to see everyone there. And along in there, I didn't mention the signage. During my initial assessment, you know, we were just talking basically about parks. We have to make sure that there's proper signage and dual language and that communicate our expectations and get some buy-in from the local community members to help us maintain the parks, these little pocket parks that we have, and come out and use them more. And, you know, partnership with the churches. We want everybody to have their barbecue here and help us maintain these parks. So what do we do that? Yes.
If there is serious interest on the part of the community to get engaged in First Tee, we can make that happen. First Tee is extremely interested in expanding its reach into Plainfield. It already takes those involved with the YM on Tuesdays there, but they run every day.
Really?
First Tee is a daily program. And ultimately they get to not only take lessons, but they get to travel, they learn the finer parts of what's right and wrong, and they get to golf against others once their skill sets built.
Really? Yes. Okay.
That's free.
Okay. I have one more question. I'm sorry. You said you were hiring 5 full-time?
Budgeted for 5 full-time
5
staff.
full-time staff members? What's been previously had right now?
Currently,
That's what's in the budget, that's what it's.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? How many full-time employees do we have in rec right now?
2 full-time. Well, 3 full-time.
Just see.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome.
Ms. Reed.
I hope that you can overcome a couple of problems that was complained about by members of this council in the last few years that I've been sitting on it, and that is not enough participation. They didn't want a double count, and quite frankly, I thought it was a little messy, but in any event, if you can. The second thing, I've been told by so many people, especially ranging around my age, and people starting out, we pay too much taxes. And, you know, you're asking for a little extra money you don't have. One of the things Mr. Jean said, better tax collection. No, you said better tax collection afford us to do more. but also understand that the ratables went down. And we have gotten information from the administration, but I had, what, $1 million to the payroll? I think it's $901,000. How can we say to people, oh, we got less people to collect from, but we're going to raise everything? And I think that that live the way I live. Spending too much dang money and not taking enough in. So I'm gonna look at the budget and recommend to my colleagues that the $129, whatever we decided, it's gotta be reduced. You know, the last 3 years, the basic rate has gone very, very small, because this council, our now mayor, was insistent that we did not have and spend certain money. We're going to do the same thing. I know you're going to have a rough job to do. To talk to Mr. Mapp and see what the complaint was on the count of children that participated in our program. I'm not sure where the cut's going to come from, but I'm looking at, you got a $54,000 person, you add $54,984 that wasn't there. Your salary is there, but it was there last year, so we have no problem with that. I see that we did not increase the portable staff, or the temporary staff much. So that might be a place you look at. It is so important to this council, me in particular, that we don't take these half numbers. In fact, you should have said, we're going to increase it because we collect more. However, we have less people to charge, which may not be the same next year. Please try to give us direct and straight information, all you can give us, because we have to make some very important decisions setting up here for the citizens that we serve. And I have a couple of things on recreation, and I'll move fast. Are you going to do the parade this year? Is that included under recreation?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully we can keep it equal to, was it 2 years ago, we had the largest parade we ever had when we had the Veterans Affair. Secondly, I understand that you have solved already, somebody solved that whole baseball situation. However, you know, from the time we did not have a superintendent up to now, I guess, that job was done by a person that did an excellent job, because we stopped getting complaints before the council and all of that. Hopefully, that person is recognized by the administration, even though I get the feeling sometimes that anyone that worked for us that was associated with our former mayor is getting their butts kicked, and they kick hard in some cases. Please, you know, Mr. Smiley, don't count on a lot of new people, please. And don't count on even some of the ones you have there, because we can't afford them. And we will be giving you back a budget that's not going to recognize your increase. I'll tell you that now.
Well, to be fair, Councilman, we did have one person that served in like 3 positions in last year's budget. They only got 1 salary.
I understand all of that, and I'm looking at 2014.
But you're making comparisons to the increase from 2013 that are occurring in 2014. And at that $901,000 rate, I mean, it could have easily been more last year had the former city administrator not also held a department head position and a division head position. And that
was that a good hint to you to keep it down since we don't have the money?
Well,
We will deal with the cuts, and you'll have more of that when you get to your section, okay? I'm going to move on, and because we do have a lot to do tonight, it's a 1:45. And again, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, and please stay with us and do the same job I understand you did over at the high school.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, welcome, and I first begin with, I wish you, all the success, because we want to see this city progress. My one issue is what Mr. Reed mentioned, the bickering between the two entities for baseball. And I hope that you can really solve that, because that was really distracting and take away from the pleasure of the children and the parents and even the whole community, because instead of the children enjoying the game, the community was, pulling against each other, and we weren't getting anywhere. So I hope that you can, bring that together and make it work. My other thing is work with all the people that's been in there, because they truly have been doing a beautiful job since, that head position has been taken away. So I hope that you can work with them. They can work with you, because it takes two. There's no one person who can do it by themselves. So I hope, that for our sake and for your sake too, because it makes it easier if you do less of a headache. So,
Many hands make easy work, yes.
so that you can work together. And Mr. Reed and Council President has asked, and you've answered most of my questions. So again, welcome, and I hope that we can, get through this, and we're here to help you. Thank you.
We've had some powerful complaints about the conditions of our field. I'd like to see whatever your capital improvements are going to be, and I know you just set in the seat, so you're going to look at it to bring those fields up to some kind of good standard, okay?
Yes.
If that be in the future.
Have you guys elected a president over there? See that? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mr. President, would you allow me to make a statement?
Well, I don't know if you want to wait until after CBAC have answered all their questions.
I'm in a meeting.
I only have one. How many active programs do we have for the rec department?
Currently active. We're at the end of the season, so currently no active programs. Swimming will start tomorrow, as will dance. The following programs, 3 additional programs will begin next week. They just closed the posting, so I'll have to hire, I believe we're going to begin cheerleading, golf, if we find an instructor. If not, we'll go to the first tee. And there was one other, that is tennis. So currently, yes.
The active, I mean, like baseball, basketball, how many programs?
Oh, I thought you meant active as of the season. Well, I'm still currently doing an assessment. I don't know if I want to say they're active until I look at the numbers of enrollment. I heard Mr. Reed's concern about duplication. I think, sir, may I ask a question? To clarify, were you talking about duplication of numbers reported of participants or duplication of services?
Well, they complain that we don't have enough. We got over 6,000 kids.
Oh, okay.
300 in the program. So I said, well, they participate in other programs. If they're baseball, they make baseball. Oh, you can't count that. That doesn't count.
So duplication of number of services, which will be looking to go to the automated system, so I can really track the data and give you a clear picture of usage that will guide our budget. So at this point, 2 active programs. It's the end of basketball season, so they're not active. But if you want to know the number of programs that were run in the 2013 year, I can get you that. If that's what you're asking.
That'll work.
Okay.
Any more questions?
You mentioned the marching fee for the municipal court for registration. Are you expecting to add that at any way for the registrants to pay that at any portion, or will that be just a sole charge?
For the court?
Yes, commercial fee.
Also, there was an equipment and facility rental in 2013 that was actually exceptionally larger than the previous year. Can you explain why that was and why it's so high this year?
That's a $6,000. May I answer? No, I'll defer to Mr. Wood. Well, as I understand it, there's $6,000 in the budget for rental fee. Since, for the last 24 months, I've been advised that now the Plainfield Board of Education has been charging us for usage of their facilities. Yes. If we run a Saturday program that's why we don't do Saturday swim, they charge for uses of the facilities. We have bills that I understand for running summer camp, for example. I'll take Cook School because I had a conversation about that. They charge perhaps $6,000 for the use, for us to have access to the building. They put that number in, so the number reflected there is reflective of last year's summer camp for space usage. That's the fee they've been charging. It wasn't done prior to 18 months ago.
I understand, we looked into that fee. I understand that the reason they charged that was security and opening the door and so forth and so on. It had nothing to do with the actual pool, with water. It was security and stuff. So maybe you can negotiate that and get it lowered if you can. But on the other hand, if it's a reasonable fee, I see no problems in paying it to assist the agencies that do such a great job trying to get out the case back.
Shared service. Shared service.
Yeah. Okay.
The question we were asking about duplication, how many actual young people, we're not reaching out to the older people, but the young people were serviced through the recreation division? That's a question we've been asking for 3 or 4 years.
I understand. And at this point, I cannot give you that answer. The way that data is being kept is not in best practice with current standards, meaning that it's not automated. So I'm looking to move in that direction immediately, whether it's as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, so that we can really track the data and give you true and honest information. At this point, it would be a manual operation, but I will have staff collate that for you.
So what about swimming, for example? I mean, I actually went to Hannah Atkins a couple of years ago, and
Right.
I said, oh, there's a lot of children here, they're all from Plainfield. And they said, well, we don't care. They can come from anywhere. And I thought these were rules for Plainfield children.
Right.
Oh, and more importantly, if we have somebody that doesn't live in Plainfield, we need to know this, because if something happened to the child, I mean, who do you contact? So how are you going to regulate or handle
Well,
that?
I've asked staff, at this point, I believe that the lifeguards or the head guard was taking just a count, how many, a head count. We're looking to move towards some type of ID and scanning system so I can have a true number about pool, since we're just talking about the pools, hours of usage, age. That's why we want to create a database to find out who's really using and who's not using our programs. So that can guide my grant writing and guide the budget. So we really need to know where we put money. At this point, I bet you say it's a paper and pencil operation. I'm looking to automate it so I can really at any point pull that, have that information available at our fingertips. So at this point, I really can't tell you.
I didn't expect to do 5 days.
Thank you.
So I just had a quick question. The overall percentage of the increase is how much percent increase over last year? Is it 48% increase?
Give me recreation.
Yes.
Incidentally, one of the things I found out from visiting a lot of the parks is parents bring their own kids out and use the facilities, of course, and they're not counted as a Plainfield user registered to pay the fee. Hopefully we have no fee or a modest fee for people to pay. But, you know, if a citizen and their kids are using it without our supervision, and their soccer team, basketball, and all of that, there may not be a city-run program.
Right.
But I said they're using their facilities. Now, I didn't get people to understand that last year, The other thing, if a kid come over from another city, say North Plainfield, Alabama, wherever, we shouldn't turn them away. We need something to make sure they identify properly. But if they're participating, swimming, that's great.
I think what I'm looking for in the future is it's part of a way of engaging the community, creating a culture of membership. No fee, no charge, really to attract them and make them more aware of the programs we provide. It's a way for me to capture information about their interests and likes and dislikes, for them to give feedback, and really to find out when they're using the program. So we're not looking to turn our families away. And certainly we want to know if other communities are using it. Right now there's no fee to use any of our programs, and they pay taxes. So this is a common good that we're providing for the community. We're just I'm looking for a way to start collecting the data so I can give a true, honest picture about our usage of our fields, the costs associated in the budget, so that it can be transparent. And we can really allow the citizens, we serve 50,000 folks in the city. We really want the programs to be receptive and be reflective of citizens' wants and desires. And that may be new programs, enhanced programs, but I have to get feedback in the data. And then I can truly tell you, at this stage, this is the impact that this program has on this community and how it's treated.
I
She was
think,
waiting for answers.
From Ron.
yeah. Well, when we get that capital improvement side, let me know what it's gonna cost to maintain the nice field. Okay, and keep looking for grants.
Yes.
You have an answer?
Yeah, I just wanted to address, and maybe I was not clear on I talked about the collection rate going up and the opportunity of the city to invest in itself. And that was one-dimensional. As the councilman pointed out, there's other considerations in the overall scheme of things that you all need to be aware of. For at least the last decade, the ratables of the city of Plainfield have been shrinking. So if you consider that the budget basically is a pizza pie, okay, that's cut up in pieces, okay, that pie has been getting smaller while your budget has been increasing for the last decade. Absent anything to address this trend is going to continue. If there was absolutely nothing done, no increase in budget this year, taxes would still be going up to the average assessed home by $30 a year. That's going to continue. Your ratables are going to continue to decrease without any efforts for economic redevelopment. My point was that economic redevelopment is one of the components that has been considered in this budget. As I understand it, that's one of the positions that is being bolstered here. That was my point, is that this budget, as I understand it, is designed to yield results. Okay, the question that we have to look at here, our surplus that we've used to subsidize this budget went up from $2.7 million to $4.9 million. Okay, can that be sustained over a period of time? The answer is no, not if there's not results. Okay, so this is something that has to be tested. It's not something that we can just say we're adding these positions and this is going to be sustained going forward without results. There has to be results.
So does that mean that if we do the $129 increased tax, that next year we won't have any increased taxes?
No, that doesn't mean that. I think that what you're aiming for is stabilization in your budget and stabilization of your rateable base. Both of those are very, very important. And both of those, you can control your budget, and your budget may not be going up. But that's not going to address the other half of the equation, which is the shrinking rateable base. That's vitally important to our discussions here.
Okay, so let's let them get some questions and then we'll come back to council members.
Your commercial,
They have questions.
your commercial rateable base dropped some 10% in the last couple of years. So, yeah, commercial and industrial, okay? What that does, it puts more pressure on your residential components, okay? That is the trend that we need to break. We need to have economic development and to grow our commercial rateable base. That requires an investment. That's not going to happen by itself.
Okay, you guys
Yeah.
have the answers already?
28%.
28% increase.
I have a couple questions. I'll just run through them and then you can answer them how you see fit. I think there needs to be a new look at the expansion of the programs. You mentioned the parks out there. You have basketball courts, but you don't have organized basketball games, you know, outside. You have soccer fields, but you don't have organized soccer games. You know, you mentioned baseball is a hot topic and swimming, but there's a lot more other sports that can be organized and available to the public. You know, fees are not always a bad thing. You know, when I grew up, I did baseball, I paid a fee. I did other things, I paid a fee. And there's a correlation between the fee and the kid's dedication to the sport as well as the product. So I do agree that some things need to be subsidized, but everything doesn't have to be free or at low cost. Sometimes there's value into paying the fee and getting a valuable product in return. So that I think that can be considered. The seasonal employee compensation was $378,000, but we didn't have enough lifeguards at the pool. That just seems completely odd to me, that you pay that much money and you don't even have enough bodies. As a lifeguard, I know there's different responsibilities. You have to clean the pool, you have to watch the pool, you have to take care of the other areas. You can separate that responsibility. You can hire people who are not lifeguards to take care of the pool or to watch the facility. That way you can have less lifeguards, but you can still get the job done. And that's something you might want to explore. The total revenues generated, grants and program fees. If you could provide a percentage of how much money that's grant money versus how much in fees, I think that also goes to the question of, is there enough fees being generated by the programs? Because Plainfield, the kids in Plainfield and the parents, they're not all poor. They have money. They want to buy into a product. You know, lots of kids are going to the outside cities to go to baseballs and other programs. So again, fees don't always have to be a bad thing. Another question is the reach out to the Hispanic community. You know, when I go to see the programs, you mostly see black kids, but I think 50% of the school district is Hispanic. So what type of ideas you have to get the Hispanic community brought in, and are you able to communicate and provide those services to the Hispanic community, given your staff and what have you? And the other point I wanted to make was the uniforms. That I think there's a request for $19,000. It fluctuates greatly between 2011 and 2013. I'm not sure what uniforms you're referring to for recreational, so that's something that also stuck out. So those are my comments and questions. There's something to think about.
I agree with the expansion of programs. We want to get some feedback, certainly. I'm sorry? Yes. Well, I mean, we're strong in swimming, soccer, baseball, traditional sports, but certainly items like cricket, disc golf with frisbees and so forth will be explored. And that's when you come getting that's when you interface and get feedback from the community that can really direct your programming and find out from the populations at this time you have no vehicle set up for that. Say, hey, would you like us to try it out? Give us an idea. So that'll even be posted on the city website, inviting people to engage recreation and give us some feedback, and that will guide our programming. We'll try things and we'll throw them out there. And in conversations with the community, we'll get that kind of feedback. But certainly, there's over 100 Olympic sports, and there's many that aren't included in the Olympics. So we're going to try anything, any idea that anyone wants to have, anybody wants to start, we'll try here. So that speaks to a variety of sports also. And of course, fees. I just got here, so I'm not going to come in and say I'm going to automatically raise fees. But I've already had a conversation conversations about the value that is associated with even paying for a small membership. People tend to value, you have to create ownership. If I'm gonna maintain this vast space that I have of public lands, I'm gonna need to engage the community so I can create some ownership so they can help us be stewards of this community. And so we're gonna explore that. If it's just a little membership card, hey, I'm a member of Pan Atkins Swimming Pool, this is all right, going in swipey, then Ms. Taylor knows when I was there, I sent a little card, I haven't seen you in a little while, we'll see you soon. Or if I do a open space Tai Chi down in Covenant Gardens or somewhere, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. You know, the key to living longer is engaging in, isolation will kill you. So we want to find ways to engage people and prolong their life and enhance the quality of life for everyone. Grant money, Mr. West can speak to that, but I'm committed to beginning and developing relationships. Now that takes time, and that will speak to the request for more additional staff. We have to develop great relationships. I'm not going to just go to say, I don't know, say Sears and hey, I need you all to sponsor a park for me. I can develop that relationship. And relationships are built over time with trust. The church is here. We want to, you know, there's just so much. But yes, so he'll get you that number. And yes, we will explore any way possible. Anyone that wants to help me maintain the parks and enhance the quality of life through recreation will be a partner with us here. Dual language, that's why you'll see a request for money for park maintenance. That'll speak to the signage. Right now, we only have signage in one language where there is signage available. So we have to go back and state our state statutes and the expectations of behavior at the park in dual language. I'm looking also to expand the diversity of our staff. As many years ago, I don't know about you all, but my mom's from the Deep South. Folks didn't go places where they didn't see folks who look like them. So you want to make it welcoming. So when someone comes there, they see folks, and we want to expand the consumer, the diversity that's reflected in our population here should be reflected in our office and reflected in our program. So yes, I am aware. Uniforms, I believe there might have been an issue previously. Maybe they didn't have to order so many baseball uniforms one time. I'm looking to expand the kit that I give lifeguards and addressing the lifeguard situation. I think there's more of an issue. You and I both know. Look, lifeguard, we know what we sign on for. But the deal was, I think there was an issue with, there wasn't a connection with the school. I can grow my lifeguards. I'm looking to grow a lifeguard corps. We're going to be like Baywatch. You're going to see us in the 4th of July parade. We're going to be strong. We're going to be clearly identified. You have to grow them from 8th grade. You don't know that. So they're going to be there. I'm looking to expand the kit that I give them. So they look professional. We're going to stagger the pay scale. So we are not the pool of default. Oh, I got to work at Plainfield Pools. It's the only job I can find. No, this is going to be the pool of first choice. Our facility is the pool of first choice to come to work in and come participate in. So we grow our lifeguards, and I think Jim and I, and Coach Smith, have really worked out a plan to do that. I think I've addressed that. Okay.
You have a good personality for recreation.
Oh, thank you.
I'm happy.
That's our song.
And don't forget the professional teams and so forth, they get grants too. And us in Orange, we got money for the baseball teams, football, and so forth. Despite all that.
We're going to ask everybody this week.
How are you? Welcome, Taylor.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You have a wonderful spirit.
Yes.
And I wish you much success. Pretty much my questions have already been asked, but I just want to reiterate and want to ask this question. Is the grant process ongoing and continuing? That's one. The other thing that I want you to consider, and that is the alternative about what we're talking about, and that is with fees. There is a large percentage of this population that's disenfranchised. They come from single parent homes. They're very poor people. And from my vantage point, I believe that recreation is the path to vocation and education. Organized sport does that. And I think that, in particular, when it comes to basketball and football, with that I ask this question. Siler Field, we have a wonderful Papa-Wan organization, but they have the worst field. Out of the worst in New Jersey, I'm telling you. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So I'm hoping and praying that we can partnership with those parents and with the community to bring that field up. They are great, they do great, they play great, but they have the worst field. And they always complain. I'm always down there amongst them, and they've always complained and say the city does absolutely nothing for them. The other question I have is, have we considered partnershiping with the community in terms of there are many groups in Plainfield. They call me all the time, they're asking about why we can't use none of these facilities. So in our shared services, I'm hoping that we can reach our hand out to our drill teams, our dance teams, our step teams, and offer them to be able to use these shared services along with us. And they come from these disenfranchised families. You know, they usually drill in the parades. They usually drill in the street somewhere. But they're always looking for a place where they can practice. They can't get in nowhere and they don't have the money to do it. So we're hoping that with your leadership in recreation that you could spearhead that partnership with them, bring them in. They can be a great inspiration to the community if we can partnership with them, along with our school system and the city. So we're just hoping that you can reach out to them. And I think that's about it. That's about it. And good luck, Susan.
Good luck. You took up too much of our time.
We only got an hour left.
Don't forget the charter schools.
Oh no, everyone.
Sometimes we treat them like they're step kids, but don't forget.
Oh, no. Just my last statement, just so that you're aware, I'll be looking wherever children are. Look, this is about the children. Adult issues, anybody who knows me knows that I always get to the heart of the matter, and this is about children. We will always do and stand in the right for children. Adult issues will be resolved, and we will always do what's right for children in this community. So I'll reach out to anyone, if they are here, they have access here, they're part of the community. No one's excluded.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
In closing off this section, we'll get back to you on the breakdown between grants and fees. But anecdotally, I'll tell you that grants supersede fees.
Yeah.
And with regard to side of the field, it's on our wish list. It's over $1 million hit, so we got to figure out how to do it.
Thank you so much.
And again,
Information technology, then media.
Okay, all righty.
And I will look to,
Let me grab my.
we're doing information technology now. And as you get ready, in the way of background, there are 4 staff specifically assigned to information technology. Salary and wages for the 2014 budget are down 16% from the prior year. Other expenses are down 5% from the prior year, with the total budget of $378,501 being 14% down from the prior year. But when you talk about 2013, I'll just give you a sense of some of the things that were accomplished and then spend more time talking about where we're looking to go in 2014. One of the things we had to do over the past, in 2013, was develop an asset management system to help us really understand all the computers and other technologies that we had in place. We did replace 350 older technology devices, whether it's desktops, laptops, tablets. We also had to then change, as a result of that, several hundred computers so that we had a standardized platform of Windows 7 and Office 2010. Because one of the things you don't want to do is try to manage disparate environments. You really want to have a single platform if you're that lucky. There was a fair amount of work done on the network infrastructure in terms of worrying about security, best practices around firewalls, reprogramming machines, some work in the tax office, Nixle, which a number of you have heard about, but it's basically a notification system, is now alive and well. For those of you who are not familiar with how to sign up, if you go to the website, there's information. There may be even information this evening. Chris Payne is with us, but it's a way for you to get information with regard to anything that's going on in the city. There was a fair amount of expansion work done on the website last year, although we'll spend more time shortly talking about that. And the staff spent a fair amount of time also on something called IQM2, which is starting to standardize and bring technology to the world of your resolutions and ordinances. We pass a lot of paper around at City Hall, and we hope to move away from that next month, at least for staff. Then we're going to work on the council to get acclimated so we can really do everything using technology. We've got 2 policies that have to be looked at again in terms of acceptable employee use with regard to technology, and an operations manual that were developed over the past year and need to come forward so that we have those kinds of things in place. We've done a fair amount around things that are called clouds and not clouds, meeting and presentation solutions, just to give you a sense of some of what was done last year. Now when you come to this year, we've got a number of activities taking place. We are assessing our telecommunications and data networks to make sure that we've got the right infrastructure in place. Do we have too much or too little of any one particular thing? So we've got a variety of vendors taking a look at things and offering us their opinions of what's good and what's bad about our environment. So we are taking a look at that so we can figure out what next steps to go after. So we've got meetings in the very near future that will give us a better sense of, and for those of you who know something about technology, we've got the Verizon world of Centrex, which is still used in some parts. We have a network called Voice over IP, which most of us use. And so we want to make sure now that we've resolved, although that credit goes partly to purchasing and somewhat to IT, the Verizon wireless and Verizon bill problems have been resolved. So we have gotten that out of the way. We can now bring them to the table as we issue disconnect notices. Because ultimately what I expect to happen is that we're going to reduce the number of lines that we're using relative to that. We are spending time trying to make decisions on whether or not we should insource or outsource our whole world of servers. Which platforms do we want on-site versus off-site? So we've got a number of initiatives where we're looking at what's the best solution for the city. So we've got some discussions taking place over the next few weeks where we're going to try to understand that and then come back with some recommendations as to what we think the city needs to do for more efficient and lower cost technology utilization. We've got IQM2 that I just mentioned. That will be rolling out in short order. We've got 2 RFPs about to hit the floor. One for the Human Resources Information System, where we're trying to really digitize all of that paper that moves around in the personnel world. So that payroll is closely integrated into an HRIS system, and employees will have the ability to have remote access, where they can get stubs, look at their last paycheck, look at their pay history, make beneficiary changes. We'll be able to do even our employee searches for new hires. Job ads will be online. People can come in like they do in many other companies. And we can use that software to help eliminate those candidates that we shouldn't be spending any time looking at their resumes. So that's going to hit. Then we've got another system that's about to roll out in the form of an RFP, and that is to really put out in place a property management system, where by block and lot we have every property owned by the city, available to every group that we've got, whether it's inspections, building engineers, Department of Public Works, police and fire, will all have access to this block and lot. It will be powerful enough that it will be accessible by the community. So those things that you have to go to City Hall for, the permits, licenses, and all, we hope to have that available online. We want to have in place a cashiering system so that we get away from, for those of you old enough to know the world of DOS, we have a terminal that is extremely old. To be maintained today requires a very special person, because it's that old and we need to replace it. We don't have digitized cashiering systems in many of our groups. So we're looking at that kind of solution to see what it'll do for us, both in terms of a public perspective as well as indoors or in-house, so that we're more efficient and effective in terms of how we process things, and we show to the community that we're all about business. So that we can be a little more effective in dealing with those people who need permits, who need licenses, and can get it in a more timely manner. So that's going to hit. We're looking at making sure that all of our Verizon cell phones, that are being used are under an enterprise agreement. We want to make sure that fire is not separate from the rest of those units purchased in City Hall, because if it's separate, it'll be priced at a higher price point than the plan the city has. You know, so those are some of the things that we're looking at. You know, we do have networking studies going on. We're looking at building errors. You know, anything that'll make us more efficient and effective and find money that's not being well spent. So those are the kinds of initiatives we've got going on. I did mention asset management. We want to look at another wave of that so that we have a better ability to help troubleshoot. You know, we don't have a lot of staff, and the staff are expected to take on a lot of different roles. So what we want to do is bring in tools that will allow us from a desktop to be able to go out and see what's going on at a particular device. What kind of software is loaded? You know, was there a change made to the software level? And those are the kinds of tools that do exist today. We want to make sure that they are available, you know, going forward. So again, we can do more with less. So it's a fairly heavy demand that's going to be placed on IT this year, but that's why we're all here. You know, I'll look at Chris to see if he's got anything he wants to
Just
say.
one thing that just caught my attention, because I know we gotta move along. You said you're looking to see whether you're gonna insource or outsource. When you say insource or outsource, what are you talking about? It means,
We have data centers. You know, we have some very old servers that need to be replaced.
okay,
So it's going to be more cost effective for us to let somebody in another location.
a consultant.
I'll call it a hosted environment. Right now, our email isn't in-house.
Really?
Really. So do we want to do more of that? Do we want to move some of our applications off-site where somebody else has the responsibility for maintaining them? Or do we want to increase our skill sets so that we can do more of that in-house? So that's part of what we have to discuss. What's the best solution going forward? It's going to be more cost-effective to have someone at Raritan Center or up in North Jersey. There are a number of companies that have gone ahead.
Or Plainfield?
If we have, that would be lovely. That would be lovely, but again, then when you look at it from a disaster recovery perspective, which is another thing we need to do. We have to have a disaster recovery and business continuity plan. What do we do in the event of? So that's another objective that's on the books. That's a lot to do, you know, in a year, but we're going to see how far we can get because all of it's a major movement forward for the city of Plainfield.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, just a couple of them are getting late, so
Yeah.
we're on too much. You mentioned staffing. Going to improve that, I understand. And you were requesting in your staffing under IT.
It's down.
Yeah.
The salary request is $298.
You eliminated, what's this, Keyshawn Riley? Clerk 4.
You can't.
That position,
Yeah, clerk 4 you eliminated, right?
That position is vacant, is it vacant?
that position is no more.
No more. Okay, so that cuts you down to 4 here. We discussing media this time?
Next.
Yes, next, okay.
Guys, let's be careful of using names. Let's not use names. I mean, you can't do that. You can use positions, not names.
Okay, so Chris,
Thank you.
you're gonna stay here, Bernard. The difference in names and positions, Bernard should be appreciated that I mentioned Bernard. He's not. Like Keyshawn should not, I don't know, maybe,
We move forward with the budget that was represented at the end of 2013.
all right, the technical assistant you're keeping and the senior computer service technician, right?
Correct.
And that means you're lowering your salary line by, what, about 48,000?
16%.
Yes, percentage-wise, you're right, but that's good. Now, could you live, and I'll ask this to our director, IT manager rather, could you live with one less person if you had to?
Councilman, really after hearing what you just said in the last presentation about working, doing more with less, we work with what we have, so yeah, we have to.
Yeah, you can look at it, try to make it work. Now, you know, you decided some things that I thought were going to be in effect last year and the year before that, when we first introduced these iPads and all of that stuff, right?
I've only been here this year.
I understand, but Chris may be able to answer. Am I right to say that a lot of what you talked about is already in the plans that you presented?
A lot of things are ongoing. Remember, technology is an evolving science, so we have constantly things. I think we're looking at about a 11-month life expectancy of most technology that hits the field. So, of course, as a municipality, we can't be that aggressive. We can't be bleeding edge, but we at least have to stay with industry standards. So some things we did start initially when I first came on board have become antiquated. Some of the gear we had to change, we just had to move up. For example, we had Windows XP available to us to use it. When we first began, Microsoft no longer supports that across the board. So that's something we had to remove from our infrastructure. We can't do support for it. So those kind of changes, kind of things that some things you'll see come up and they come back again because we're coming around again.
But you are absolutely right. Some of these are not new. They're even older than you cited. But one of the key things that you have to do is make sure you go out and get the user requirements. So part of the initiative that's taken place recently was to capture the user requirements so that when these solutions come forward and the different proposals from the vendors, they should be reflective of what people say we need in the way of functionality, so that we can check off that it does what we say it needs to do, and then pick a provider.
Thank you.
Are there any grants available, Chris, in this area that you know of?
Not that I know of, but we will look more. I mean, we'll use things like shared services and things like that, but yes, to try to offset.
Are we working with the Board of Education and relationship services?
Currently, we are discussing the possibility. We're always working with that.
Okay.
Are we having any trainings in the IT department?
Glad you asked that. May 8th, we're doing Edmonds training, so that across the organization, we are training people on how to use the purchase order requisition system.
Okay.
We have IT training. We are in the throes of negotiating with the library, Union County College, and civil service tomorrow. So we are planning on offering in-house with a young lady back in the back, no names. She's going to do Outlook training citywide. We are then looking to get others to do Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So, and as we identify other needs, we will do that. We have a limited training budget, so got to find the best deal we can get.
Let me ask you a question. What time, the library closes at 9 on the dot? Can we move right along?
I have one question regarding the telephone system. That answering thing that we have set up, you dial, and they give you all that information. Is that costly? Number one. Number two, does people get annoyed at it as I do?
Voicemail? No, he's talking about the auto attendant. You can always hit 0. We built it in so you can always opt out and go right to a live person. And it's not expensive. It's actually part of our overall voice.
Such that because the live person, the phone, didn't answer the shit. Same as over the house in the car. But
I'll tell you what we can do. There's been a directory is created. We'll make sure that each of the council people has a copy of that directory. It's got, you can call people directly.
But that
Any
cut
questions from
out
Sarah?
Then he cut out the job.
Good.
One good point you said that you got this person running, that person running. Couldn't we eliminate some of the outside consulting? If we
That's
do
right.
that way?
That's right.
We're looking at that, but see, that budget line has been used for a number of things, not just pure what I would call consulting. Some of the maintenance providers, like on the telephone switch, are in that budget line. So it's not something we can readily do, but we're going to be looking for opportunities to save money wherever we can.
The expansion of surveillance camera equipment and DVRs, is that on the city level or is that within buildings?
There's two different developments. We're working on in the buildings at the local level. There's another initiative that comes out of public safety. So city level will be something that you're from actually police.
And what do you do with the older computer equipment? Do you reuse it, recycle it?
We try to recycle it as long as we can, and then everything goes to auction eventually.
Oh, okay.
We squeeze as much juice as we can out of it until they just say, really?
It sure was, it's a production, so great job.
Can I ask one quick question before we move on? How much is it costing to use consultants to do the job that someone in-house could do? Cost effective, would it be cost effective to the city to utilize someone in IT to maintain the website?
Here's a different budget.
Uh,
But let me say.
Media? Is that media or IT?
If you say to maintain the website, that's media.
Okay, don't answer it, don't answer it. Okay.
But I should give you a general thing. What happens with regard to technology is you always look at the pros and cons of whether or not it's cheaper and if you have the skill levels to maintain. So I would tell you in the way of the web world, we have an opportunity to grow when it comes to things like graphic design. You know, it's not a native skill set of ours. So that's an area we have to be trained in to become even better, you know, with regard to development.
But for me, I just would love to see, it's done inside, in-house. I mean, that's just for me. I'm just speaking in terms of, coming from an IT department that had at one time one person, and then it grew to 2 people, and then it grew to a department. It's hard for me, and they were maintaining. I mean, it was a work in progress, and they were maintaining the website. They were maintaining. IT came with IT, media, so on and so forth. And I don't know the direction you guys are trying to go with now, but it just seems to me that if the website was handled in-house, let me just say this. If something goes wrong with the website, it's easier for someone to come from Plainfield to fix it. That's just I'm just giving some opinions, and it's just my personal opinion. I would love to see an employee working for the city so that we can evaluate that employee and make sure they're doing their job than to use a consultant.
All right, I would love to have that capability in-house too, but what I'm hearing in the way of the employee assessment is that all of those skills, in terms of web design, we're talking about changing the web design, and that can come up, but I'll let Chris speak first.
When you talk about outsourcing technology, and I think the conversation has only gotten into the human element, and I know that's what you're speaking about, Council President. There's also a few other portions of it that are more on the application and the hardware side. So some initiatives that will come before you, and you're going to get to see everything that we are looking at. It is more cost effective from a hardware or that portion. The other portion will have to be evaluated when we get to that. So, for example, the website. The web developer is a position that could be either or in the conversation. Behind the scenes though, there's still going to be servers, infrastructure, and things like that. For example, you use Gmail or Yahoo, which is just more cost effective to do that in some cases. Now, that doesn't mean someone can't be a developer inside, but that's something that we're going to have to evaluate, and we're going to see whatever the final resolutions are, whatever the recommendations are.
And he brings up a good point, because one of the things we're looking at, I mentioned our servers have to be replaced. So that's one of the things you look at. You look at our skill sets, you look at what it will cost to replace the hardware, and then the heat, light, and power associated with keeping that equipment fired up. And then you also then want to do a skill assessment. Are we in a position to be able to respond in a timely manner to those kinds of troubles? Because the world of servers is a little different than the world of desktops and telephone. And their skill sets, I would love that we had everybody fully certified in all those skill areas. It's a major investment on our part to get everyone there. We may be able to do it over the years, but right now this budget has asked us to come in lean and mean. So,
Can you lead it?
That's
That's one question, Chris. What's the organizational chart? Who do you report to as a manager and so forth? Report to Mr. King. Okay. Thank you.
I'm a stubborn Taurus. I still would like to see it done in-house.
You're going to see everything, I'm sure.
That's what it is. Thank you.
as we bring media up, in media, just so we can keep moving, we've got 5 budgeted positions in media. When we look at the budget, 2014 versus 2013, you're looking at a budget that's 82% higher than the prior budget year. So, but now let's talk about the why. And what we're looking to do within the confines of media. Today, or in the past, we've had no city employee officially tasked with creating website content. It's a new thing we've started doing, but we've had no one officially assigned to do that. We've had no city employee tasked with issuing press releases, marketing material, or other information from the city. We've had no policies or plans for internal or external crisis communications. What do we do? How do we get the employees and the public notified of major issues? So what are our plans? We need to establish a rebranding and re-imaging strategy for the city. We need, in doing that, we need to create a strategy. We've got to create collateral material. We've got to implement those plans. And then we've got to work with with economic development and other groups to help move the city forward. So what am I talking about? We're talking about really moving from, we're expanding the role of media from being primarily associated with what I'll call Plainfield Cable TV to one responsible for website, Plainfield Cable TV, and it's got the public information office. So all of the communications that the city is looking to manage and get out there, to rebrand, re-image, are all under media. So the definition of media has been expanded. So what does that mean when we talk about expanded? We're talking about expanded venues for communicating, whether we use the web, newsletters, social media, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, PCTV, direct mail. We want to have a bigger presence in trying to reach out to our constituents, business partners, and hopefully those businesses interested in coming to town. We also want to redesign the website so that it's more user-friendly. And one of the things we need to have happen is we need to get a design from someone that will allow us to just control content. What we're talking about doing and what we've been articulating as the role we should do is content. Whether or not we can afford to have a pure web design organization remains to be seen. What I do know is that we're trying to get lots of information out to the public, and others, so that it has a user-friendly appearance, people can navigate readily through it, and we have the ability to make timely changes. The only way we want to do that is without causing any damage to the ultimate design. So in looking at what we want to do with regard to the website, we're going to look at what we can do internally. More importantly, we'd like to hear what others would say they would do if they were going to take on the Plainfield website and redesign it so that it was more user-friendly. And so those are some of the things that we're looking at doing. Many of you have seen what gets done with regard to Plainfield Cable TV. That's an organization that has a couple of philosophies. We're certainly trying to provide job opportunities down the road, for future Plainfieldites who have an interest in media. So we've got interns that are working there. We'd like to see that expanded. We're looking at getting a second channel to put in the public schools so that they can move in the broadcast front. And we're talking about going live, picture taking or projections of the council meetings. So we're trying to get equipment in-house that will allow us to do that so that we will be broadcasting live from the council meetings.
Dave, you can say this real quick. Whatever was done in 2013, we need to go back to doing the same thing. Because to increase this budget this much, it's definitely not going to be right. Now, the cable television station, I watched it in 2012, 2013. It's running very well. I mean, even at night, do you watch it? They play jazz music, put me back to sleep. So, whatever. I mean, this is
That's only one side. Remember, that's only one side of the world of media. Remember, there's Plainfield Cable TV, and then there's the world of media. So what we're talking about is expanding beyond just Plainfield Cable TV.
The world of the city of Plainfield, the dollars that we have that we can't afford to pay. That's what we're talking about. I'm gonna move right along. Hello.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm good. How
Good.
Thank you.
Again, my problem, of course, is dollars. And rateable taxes, if we collect, if we didn't raise, it would be low as well. Collection is great because we did a good job in selecting a tax collector as we did with CFO, and so forth and so on. However, we just can't afford some of this stuff. I've worked in Newark and Orange, and the leading person that let people know what's going on is the big boss sitting in that seat upstairs, the mayor. He's our advocate. He's the one that put out the press releases. He's the one that crow about great Plainfield. If we cannot afford to have a great person to write all this up. And, you know, we existed for 140 years, and I'm not sure how many media people we had, but in the last 20 years, I don't remember anybody having a title. In fact, we had hired a person last year to do the same job. And we, the council, led by our esteemed person that we selected to be our leader, said we don't need it. All of a sudden, we need a lot of the stuff that we didn't need in 9, 10, 11, and 12, and 13. Strange. We can't afford it. That's all I'm saying. We just can't afford it. You may be great, and I've talked to you and I understand, but you gotta love news media. The mayor has to do that. Getting people to come into Plainfield. They're not going to come, we sitting here, the council is over here, the mayor's office, the administration is over there, and we're fussing all the during time, and it's reflected. As far as media is concerned, I'm pleased with media. Media technician 1 that you have here, as far as I'm concerned, is great. You have a media visual specialist, great. You had a part-time person, and it's no longer there, but that clerk 1, I watched one of clerk 1's program the other night, just in case anybody wonders who clerk 1 is. I'm not going to say the name, I'm going to say they did a program on one of our restaurants. And she was excellent. I had to call up the next day, you know, we're going to route you to ABC or CNN or those places. I just think that, you know, this media technician is vacant. Now, we got in the budget for 58. That should come out. And some other things should be adjusted in here. And the basis is, I'd love to have it because it makes us look great. However, we can't afford it. That's our problem. We just can't afford a lot of the great things that you guys are sitting there thinking about.
Well, we think they're going to eventually pay for themselves. One of the things we're trying to do.
Eventually.
Well, yes, we have to make
Eventually.
to
What is your definition of eventually, Mr. Smiley?
soon.
What's soon? I've heard that.
Sooner than later. I mean,
When you come to me and said, here are some dates that we're gonna have this done, that done, and this done.
I certainly will have our taxes gotta help you.
I am just going to be very brief, because I believe, you know, I understand that we need it, we want these things, we want the best for Plainfield, but at some point, we have to cut back and use what we have until we can get there, maybe later down, you know, later down into the season something, but right now, I don't see us affording all this, all at one time. It's just too much. If you have a budget, you cannot possibly pay out more than what you have coming in. You have a household, you have to tailor your budget to fit what's coming in.
Anybody from the budget consultant? I mean, I'm sorry. This budget got me confused.
we're paying for, right?
I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
I have a
Thank
comment,
you.
I guess some questions can come about it. There is overwhelming concern with the overall budget, and I'm seeing why, in particular, when we come to this particular place. And I'm pretty much in agreement with what I'm hearing, because I'm believing that, and I'm thinking that based on what we just heard from information and technology, that if we really critique our internal controls, evaluate our deficiencies, and tighten up our technical systems, then we wouldn't have to extend the budget like this. We wouldn't have to extend the budget like this. It would correct the things that we're reaching for and really don't have the revenue to support. Now, I heard earlier from the gentleman, I'm not sure of his name, he talked about how wonderful the tax office did. Well, there's some pros and cons to that. Yeah, they did well. They collected a lot of money and leaned on 1,200 people's property, too. I don't think it was so great. I've been here for 58 years. A lot of those people's property that you leaned on, they were people that were my mother's friends. They taxed them out of their property. See, so that's not so great to me. You know, that's not really that good to me because it's bigger than just making money. And at the expense of getting taxes where we went overboard, to the extent where we collected $1 million point something over taxes that we're supposed to collect. We have to refund people. But we're not really strict insofar as our internal controls are concerned. We have to evaluate our deficiencies effectively enough, and we have not tightened up our technical systems enough to be reaching like this and to be doing things like this to the budget and increasing it and increasing taxes even more on a population of people that couldn't even handle where it was. 30% is reach. I mean, 30, you know, 30%, I think you said earlier. I mean, that's a lot. But I think we could be a whole lot more effective in our services and what we're doing without just spending money like that. I don't think that's just the way. I think, you know, this is where the rubber meets the road on a local level. I think actually we do the same thing. You know, but I think just we need to tighten up house for in-house. We need to demand a whole lot more. We need a whole lot more sacrifice. You know, but I don't think we need sacrifice in terms of, you know, requiring more from taxpayers. That's just
Since they have such, you know, they have limited income. All these people have, you know, they're between food, medicine, and whatever else, and taxes also. Food, medicine, and taxes. And they have no more income. So it's difficult, especially for older people. And the older people are the ones who have the homes who are really paying taxes. Young people are not buying houses. They're not paying taxes.
I just have one question. I know that the audio visual specialist got a $17,000 raise.
That's because that person went from a part-time to a full-time position.
That's it.
It doesn't say
It doesn't say part-time.
It doesn't state that.
But that's what it is.
Oh, okay. So you had 2 part-time.
Yes.
I just got 3 quick points. Clearly, there's a consensus that the budget is too high. You know, you're asking for 2. You didn't have any media technicians 1s last year, and now you're requesting 2. You didn't have a clerk last year, now you're requesting 1. It might be helpful if you can explain, you know, why you need this additional manpower and this additional title.
Those 3 of those positions were there last year. The only new positions that were created this year are the public information officer, which also is the acting public information officer, which hopefully will be receiving confirmation at some point in time, and the position of media tech position will be added. As Mr. West explained, the department is expanding. We've really gone from simply a community TV station, which really is that was the focus of media, which there was IT combined media. When media broke off, the sole function really was PCTV. At this point, we're really expanding to something that serves as a public information office, as Mr. West said, as cable television, and then we serve as a press office for the community as well. So it's really an expansion of service.
Well, I think I would second Mustafa's concern that I think, you know, as the first year, you should be focused more on cost cutting and cost saving before the expansion. Because I know Mr. Smiley mentioned revenues, but there's no information about what exactly that means and how you're generating the revenues. So, I would just second the idea that maybe a look at the cutting first for the year, 2 years, whatever, and then go for the expansion. Then you might have additional. Prove yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jan, you have anything? You guys have anything? Okay, we gotta move right along, because I don't think we're gonna be able to
We'll
get
get
to
one
it.
more done.
Yeah, because of the fact that they're really strict. Let's go to, the purchase, can you get purchase?
Yeah, we can purchasing. As purchasing walks up here, what I would tell you is that, remember, we're advocating that you must invest in Plainfield. We have to rebrand and reimage. Plainfield, if you talk about most of the other organizational entities, it's cut fairly lean. The bulk of our budget, 50% of our budget is in public safety. And so what we're talking about is how we can bring in additional money so that we can afford the burden that we have in terms of that expense side. So
Thank you, Mr. Watson, because I think that we're pretty clear on the direction.
They were looking, that's fine. We're doing purchasing. All right. Purchasing has 3 people in the organization. When you look at the salary line is basically flat from 13 versus 14. The other expense line is basically flat, $1,714 versus $1,845. When you look at what took place in 2013, the organization handled 5 bids, 38 RFPs, over 6,500 purchase orders. We were able to reduce purchase order turnaround time from 12 days to 7 days and look to make that get even tighter. We ended up collecting business registration certificates for all of our Plainfield vendors because we're not supposed to do business with anyone that's not officially registered with the state. We had an asset inventory done, and that's usually an audit requirement too, of all of the assets that the city owns. Buildings, computers, cars, and that was done through that office. I mentioned earlier the Verizon Wireless and Verizon billing issues, which were almost $300,000. They have now been put to rest with the efforts of purchasing and IT. One of the things that happened that was very positive in 2013 was a resolution approved by council to use a service called EMEX to purchase power from. So, through the first quarter, we've saved a little over $11,000, in our electric bills when we compare year to year. So we're on track to save around $45,000 this year as a result of, the council agreeing to move forward with EMEX as our auctioneer for power. We want to further improve purchase order turnaround time. We're going to update the purchasing manual so everybody's ensured of what needs to be done around the process of purchasing. That's one of the reasons we're doing all of the training with Edmund. That's all a part of the process of making sure that we follow all the practices and procedures needed to run an efficient and effective organization. To make sure that our internal controls are tight. All of those are things in the works. We want to make sure that within purchasing, anybody that comes through that office has the perception that it's a customer service friendly organization, just like we want that for every other organization throughout the city. So one of the things we're advocating for is strong principles around customer service, so that when you go there, you know that you've been well received and your business has been taken care of. With that, unless you have anything, I wasn't going to say anything else about purchasing. Cindy Lee Weber, purchasing.
15 minutes ago, yeah.
Madam President.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Council, if you want to push it to tomorrow, you have another date built into your.
What day do you have?
We have the last date where we're going to be talking to.
I will be here.
Done.
I was trying to make Councilman Storch also have a couple of dates that he will not be able to attend because of personal and business things that he has to take care of. So I just wanted to put that on record.
So we have
Again,
23rd,
I
28th.
apologize.
I won't be here on the 23rd.
You didn't have a chance to ask. I'll allow you to ask me a
So
question.
we're gonna have to build it another day, because we work at 8:30, it's extremely, yeah, because you can't have to do it, because they're strict. Yeah, they're too strict, and this is too, it's not a business that we need to conduct, because they have to come back. Yeah, purchase, yeah.
Order another date.
Please.
I'll have AJ reach out to you tomorrow.
Okay. Excuse me, Council President, can we?
Thank you for coming. I'm sorry we couldn't get to you to ask questions, but.
Okay. So, sorry to the city.